Hello Eurovision friends, thank you so much for coming to my channel Eurovision Histories for this. My prediction, my very first prediction on the grand final of Eurovision 2025. I usually do this the day after the second semi-finals on the Friday or sometimes also on the Saturday of the grand final of Eurovision, and I try to predict where each entry that made it to the final will place in the final, in the top 5, top 10, top 15, top 20 or bottom 6. It's always a lot of fun to move the flags around and see how the end result might be. Now you might ask yourself, how does he know which entries will go to the final? Well, I don't, but I did my prediction on the two semi-finals over the weekend. So I thought I now have my group of 26 songs that I think will be in the final, so I can do a prediction based on that. Obviously, huge possibility of errors here. Lots of people disagree with me that Poland and Australia might not qualify, so I didn't include them in this, but they might still qualify, obviously. So don't take this too seriously, but I love speculating about this. And it's quite fun as well. Obviously, we don't have live performances for some of the songs. We have no idea about rehearsal clips, the staging at Eurovision. And also, we don't really know the running order either for the final. So not based on a lot, but still might be fun to do. So let's get right to it. First of all, the first country is Czechia. A good modern pop song, great vocals as well. And I think if he makes it to the final, which I'm quite sure he will, this will get a lot of jury support in the final, because obviously in the semis we only have televote, and then the juries come in only in the grand final of Eurovision. So I think that this has televote appeal, especially with the dance break that they added that I'm personally not a huge fan of, but I think that will make it more memorable. I think it stands out because of his great vocals. The juries will love it, I think, both because of the vocals and the standard pop song thing that they usually go for some reason. So I'm going to predict lower top 10 for Czechia. They don't have a huge support usually in the televote, unfortunately, so that's why I'm not predicting anything higher than that, but maybe lower top 10 might be possible. I will be moving around some of these later on. Sometimes you notice that you predict 7 songs to be in the top 15, which obviously is impossible, and then later on in the video I will move some things around as well. Then we have San Marino. This might happen with a lot of the songs we're going to talk about, but I'm not sure how this will work. They need to change the staging quite drastically, but I'm going to go with that they will not, that the staging will be similar to Sanremo and the San Marinese national final. And then it is a catchy song, a great song, cool lyrics. Lots of people might not understand the lyrics, especially if the staging stays the way it is. And I think a few juries might go for this, but not as many. There's traditional elements in there that the juries usually don't go for as much. So I love this song, but this is not my personal opinion. I'm trying to be as objective as possible, obviously. So I'm fearing that maybe San Marino will end up in the top 20 only. Yeah, that sounds about right, unfortunately, even though I hope that it will get a better position. Then we have Finland, the first potential winner of one of the votes. I think this is a potential televote winner, even though we do have a lot of televote-friendly songs in this final, which might hurt this a little bit. Malta, I'm predicting to be in the final as well, which might hurt Finland's chances a bit. And there, the running order will be very important, which we do not know about yet. However, I think this depends a lot on how the jury will react to this. I think it's a good composition. It's well produced. I think she can improve on her vocals and then perform and sing this very well as well. So I don't see a reason why the juries should completely ignore this. But the juries also have lots of other songs that they will be into, that they will like. So I think this might struggle with the jury a little bit, but will do really well with the televote. So again, I'm predicting a lower top 10 for Finland for now. I might move it up or lower, probably not lower, but might move it up later on if that is possible. Next up, we have Azerbaijan. A lot of you disagree with my prediction that this will make it to the final. My reasoning is that it's a very at least to me, modern sounding song. It's a catchy song with a charismatic lead singer that I think can engage well with the audience. Azerbaijan usually knows how to stage their entries pretty well as well. And so I think this will be a surprise to some people, also because this is not the type of song and genre that Euro fans usually go for, but the general public, I think, might like this. It is also the kind of song that the juries might like. It's kind of a generic pop song with just a few traditional elements in there. And a good vocal performance, I think we can expect as well. So I would say this is a top 15 performance. Yeah, I'm going to stick with that. Then we have Estonia. Obviously, a very televote friendly entry by Tommy Cash. I think that this will be the Windows 95 man of this year, and the juries might, well, they will not ignore it completely because it is quite catchy. It went a bit viral as well, but I don't think that the juries will go for this all that much. I feel like this is kind of a parody on Eurovision and not a nice one. And maybe some of the jury members will realize this. I think the televoters will love this because of the fun performance, because of the catchiness of the song. So I'm going to say, but again, we have a lot of songs that are very televote friendly. And for example, Sweden does what Estonia is trying to do a little bit better, I think. So let's say top 15 for now, maybe. Then we have Cyprus, a song I personally don't really like. I was a bit disappointed by this. I think it's very disjointed and yeah, I don't know. But I think this has an audience. I think he does look like a pop star, which will help him sell the song as good as possible. I think the staging might be quite interesting because he gets to close the semifinal, which might indicate that they have some complicated staging concept. However, when someone says this, we will have something on stage that has never been seen in Eurovision before, it's a bit tired because we've heard that so many times and then they come around with something not all that interesting. So I'm not quite sure. All that to say, I think the juries might like this more than the televoters, but I don't really see this do all that well, actually, at the end of the night. Then Albania, one of my favorites, one of many people's favorites. This has been going up in the odds. I read up until now it's in the top 10. This is a very special entry. I can't really compare it to all that many entries we've had in the last couple of years and say this did well, so this will probably do well. It is a very traditional, like an entry with lots of traditional elements, but you also have the clapping, which makes it very memorable. She is a great performer. I'm not sure whether his part in the song might like lose a few people when they like the song, but then he comes in and they feel it's a bit comical. They have to find a way to do that better than they did in the national final, but I'm sure they can do that. I kind of feel like this will do really well in the televote, might be top 5 in the televote, but the juries are a bit of the problem here because the juries don't like stuff with traditional elements. They don't really like songs in national languages, even though this year there are so many songs in national languages. They have to kind of get rid of that because otherwise it will be very predictable whom they will vote for. But I think Albania might be doing a top 10 in the end. It definitely deserves to be there. Then we have Luxembourg. Like with a lot of songs this year, to be honest, I'm quite unsure about a lot of these because lots of elements that I need, the running order position, live performance, the final staging, etc., are missing. For this one, I think this can appeal to a certain younger demographic. I think I'm not 100% sure that this will qualify from the semifinal, to be honest. So if it does, it will do so as a borderline qualifier, I think. And then in the final, with lots of more competition and a lot of televote-friendly competition, I think this will barely get any televote points, maybe from the younger demographic if they do vote. And the juries might like this. I think this is more of a jury song than a televote song, but not as much as they did Tali and Fighter last year, I would say. So I would put Luxembourg, I'm putting all the smaller countries in the top 20, but I do think that Luxembourg will end up somewhere there. Then we have France, La France with Luan, one of my favorite songs. I have to try to be as objective as possible. I've seen lots of reactions that say that this is a bit boring, that the Maman chorus is repeated too often, and I see all of that. But I do think if they get the staging 100% right, if it's very intimate and lots of people can connect to the story of the song, it will work. Her voice is quite special and very good as well. I think this will be top 3 in the juries, probably, because they like this sort of thing. And I also remember the last 2 years, people saying that Marco Mengoni and Slimans' songs were very boring and wouldn't do well, and they did. They came top 5, both of them, I think. And so I'm kind of seeing something like that for France. So maybe top 3 with the juries and top 10 with the televote if they have a very intimate staging. And combined, I think that might be enough to make the top 5. I don't see this win yet 100%, but this might be the kind of compromise winner that Duncan Lawrence was, for example. Come third in the jury vote, come maybe fourth in the televote, and maybe combined that's enough because all the other songs got less in one of the 2 votes. Because, as I said, we have lots of songs that seem to be very geared towards the televote, like Finland, for example, and then there are other songs that are very geared towards the juries, ballads, maybe Serbia, maybe also France, and then a compromise winner might actually do it this year. Then we have Malta. This went viral on TikTok, obviously, which will help it. I think the whole controversy about having to take the word out of the chorus will help this as well. Lots of people will be talking about it. As a song, it is quite catchy. It's fun. I think the performance will be over the top and crazy, which will help with the televote a little bit, but I think it will turn off the juries quite a bit like Windows 95 Man, maybe. And so I think that Malta might do a top 15 with a healthy televote, but I don't think now let's leave Malta in the top 15 for now, but I don't think that the juries will go for this all that much. Then we have Israel. I think in this case, the best way to predict it is to look at last year's result because the songs are quite similar. And I think something quite similar will happen this year as well. A huge televote and a smaller jury vote. So I'm going to predict that this will be in the top 5 again, like Hurricane was. But it might not be enough to win because you need a bigger jury support than Hurricane got last year. And I think, again, something very similar will happen. This is sometimes a fallacy that some Eurovision fans have. For example, after Chanel did so well for Spain in 2022, everyone thought that Blanca Paloma would also do really well, and that did not quite happen. But I think in this case, it's a different situation, and so I'm gonna stick with this prediction. Then we have Ukraine. Again, we don't really know how high the televote will be for this, how much people will like this, and how much the diaspora also will like this song. But I do think that it will get a healthy televote score. And I don't think the juries will go for this all that much because they don't like traditional elements. This has kind of all the elements that the juries usually don't really like rock, a bit of psychedelic stuff, traditional vocal technique. It's in English and in Ukrainian. And I just think the juries might not go for this all that much, but the televote will. And so I would say, well, maybe for the first time in a long time, Ukraine might not be in the top 10 this year. Might still change that in the end. But yeah, because of the lack of jury support, maybe for this. Then we have Serbia. I think this depends a lot on where it will be in the running order, but let's say it gets a pretty good running order position. This is really the only Balkan ballad in the whole final. And if that happened in the past, that song usually did rather well. Lots of people say that this will not even qualify. I'm quite sure it will. I think this will get some support there is an audience for this, I'm quite sure. He's very charismatic as well. The song is pretty good, I think. I quite like the song. And so I would think that Well, I already filled up my top 15, but Serbia usually gets something around 17th to 20th, it seems, when they don't have the greatest song in the world. So I think top 15 is definitely possible for Serbia. Then we have Austria, and here I really have to separate my personal opinion from my objective prediction because I just cannot get into this song. But I also have a feeling that quite a few people in the audience might not be able to get into this song. Lots of people compare this to Nemo and think it will do equally well in the jury vote. But Nemo didn't sing that high for the entire song. This one is quite high. There are very high vocals in a lot of parts of the song. And I think a few people might be turned off by that. I think the juries will love this. It is a very dramatic performance. It will be staged quite well, I'm quite sure. And he knows how to perform this. Lots of people will be impressed by it. So maybe you could compare it to John's Tears as well, who also had very impressive vocals. I was going to put this in the top 10, to be honest, but now thinking about John's Tears, maybe this is actually a top 5. It is in English, which will help in a year full of national language songs as well. So, yeah, I'll put it in the top 5 for now. I'll reorder the top 5 later on. The United Kingdom. Now, I love this. Again, I have to try to separate my personal opinion from my objective prediction. But I do think that the fact that they know each other, that they know how to sing this, that they know how to sing in general, will give them a lot of freedom to act on that stage. They have a musical theater experience and can kind of put that music video fun, which really got me to fall in love with the song, really was the music video and seeing them interact with each other. They can actually bring that on to the stage. And then I think a lot of televoters will go for this as well. And I think that the juries will really appreciate the harmonies that they create with their voices. Maybe the structure of the song is a bit too experimental for some jury members, but overall, I think the juries will like this. And I also think that the televoters will like this. And I think this will do a lot better than people are expecting. Am I actually going to predict top 10? Maybe not. I'll put it in the top 15 and I'll move maybe Azerbaijan to the top 20 for now. But I do really believe in the UK. Then we have Spain with Melody. I think the revamp did a lot of good for this. It doesn't sound as dated anymore. Sounds a bit more current. I personally am not a great fan of the song, but this has a bit of an audience, I think. The thing is that there are so many televote-friendly songs in this final that I'm not sure how many potential voters will still be left for this. The juries will probably like her good vocals. I'm not sure about this. If the staging stays the way it was at Benidorm, I'm not so sure that the juries will react all too positively to it. And so, sorry guys, but I can't really see this do all that well in Eurovision this year. Sorry. Pardon. Then we have Switzerland. One of my favorite songs. This will be loved and eaten up by the juries. I think it's a lovely, lovely song. She has very distinct vocals. It's a beautiful composition, beautiful instrumentation. I think the juries will appreciate that. I think that the televote might be a bit of a problem, maybe, but I also feel like this can stand out quite a bit because it's a very distinct song in this year's lineup. There's no song like it, as slow, as calm as this one, and that might help it stand out. I think the juries will lift this quite a bit, and so I'm going to predict a top 10 for Switzerland for now. Then we have Lithuania. This is a bit of a difficult song to predict, I think, because either people are turned off by the eeriness of the whole thing and by him staring at them through the camera, or they get it and they connect to it and then they will vote for it. I think the juries might not go for this because they don't like rock songs all that much. It's also in a national language again, but this should do relatively well. I would put this in the top 15 as well. I'll just leave it there for now. You can see it. And then later on, I'll try to rearrange. Then we have Latvia. this will scrape through. I think this will not easily qualify from the semifinals. And then I feel like this might also be bottom 5, even though it completely doesn't deserve that at all. The thing is, this is a very special performance. The instrumentation, the singing, all of it. I'm not sure the juries will go for it, even though the singing should convince a lot of them to vote for it. Yeah, it should convince a lot of them to vote for it, so I'll put it a bit higher. But I think for the televote, maybe they will go. I don't know. Honestly, I don't know for this one. I'll leave it in the top 20, but it might be even top 15, or it might be bottom 6, but I'm not quite sure. Then we have Norway, a quite standard pop song. Might be a bit boring for some people, might not stand out as much as some other songs in the final, like Malta maybe, or Finland. And so I think that Norway... Ooh, I'm putting way too many songs here. Let's say Cyprus is also in the bottom 6. Sorry, guys. Maybe Luxembourg as well. Yeah, but otherwise, I think that makes mostly sense. Then we have Germany. I was very happy when this was chosen, but I've kind of lost my confidence with this one, that they can actually improve the vocals and the staging. I am fearing that this might be another bottom 5 result, bottom 6 result for us. Maybe that's just me preparing for the worst to not be disappointed once again. But I just don't know what the audience for this is. It is very catchy, but if she sings it like in the national final, I don't think any of the juries will go for this, really. And then in the televote, they just have so much on offer that I'm not sure that they will go for a song in German in the end. So yeah, I'll predict bottom 6 for now. Greece is a beautiful ballad. I think will get a lot of support, and I'll put this in the top 10 for now. The juries will go for this, for the great vocals as well. They might be turned off a bit by the national language, but overall this will do pretty well, and so I'll put it in the top 10. I'm thinking I'm putting way too many ballads and slower songs in the top 10, but yeah, I might change that later on. Then we have Italy. This one I'm completely unsure about. Usually Italy does really well if they manage to translate the cool lyrics of this song to a European audience that doesn't speak a word of Italian. Then this might do well. But if they fail to do that, they might be in a bit of trouble. I'll put it in the top 15. Usually Italy comes top 10, but usually they send a winner of Sanremo. This only lost by a few points. Now you can't see Italy. I'll put Italy in the top 10 for now, but I will change that later on. Yeah, because I don't think Italy will be in the top 10 this year, unfortunately. Then we have the Netherlands. I think this is another one that could be a compromise winner, maybe coming 3rd or 4th with the juries, because it is a good pop song, a radio song that could be a summer hit, and that's what the juries are looking for. I think he sings and performs it well. And then also coming 3rd or 4th with the audience, because of the Stromae vibe, because of the summery vibe, because of the catchiness of it all. Everyone understands the few parts of the lyrics that are in French, or most people will understand what it means. And so I think that this might be a compromise winner, like a Duncan style winner once again. Then we have Sweden. This, for me, is the most likely televote winner because it's just so fun, because so many people seem to love it, because they have so much charisma and they sell the song so well, and it's a very catchy song. Apart from all of that, this is the kind of fun, jokey entry that knows how to do it well, like not seem ridiculous, not seem crass or anything like that. And this is kind of the Keria and Baby Lasagna of this year for me in that way. It's not too over the top. It has a good melody. It's fun and entertaining to watch. And so I think this will get a similar result and maybe definitely be in the top 5, I think, because I also think that the juries can appreciate the great vocal harmonies that they managed to create. They perform it well. It is in Swedish. It has some traditional elements, which would be an argument against the juries liking it. But I don't think they can completely keep out the fun of this, and will give this quite a few points. And then last but not least, before we get to reorganizing everything, there's Belgium. I think the fact that Cyprus and Belgium will be in this final will hurt Belgium a bit. I think, so I'll leave Belgium in the top 20 for now, but mostly because I don't have any space anywhere else. So let's have a look at the top 5: Netherlands, Sweden, France, Israel, and Austria. I actually think that makes a lot of sense. Maybe even in that order. Yeah, I think Netherlands, Sweden, France are the most likely winners this year. I don't really see Austria. I think Israel, with the lower jury vote, will not have enough points to actually win. Will do quite well. So yeah, I'm quite happy with that top 5. For the top 10, I have one too many. Switzerland, Albania, Finland, Czechia, Greece, and Italy. I think Italy probably, maybe not. I'm unsure about Greece and Switzerland both making it when we also have ballots in the top 5 already. I think Albania is in the top 10, definitely. Finland is in the top 10, quite definitely. Czechia is another one I'm quite unsure about, to be honest. But yeah, let's leave these 5 that we have now. But now I have 2 too many in the top 15. Italy, UK definitely. I think it might actually switch with Czechia or something, but UK will do quite well, I think. Italy, Ukraine will do quite well. Estonia, I wish I could put Estonia lower, the song, because I don't like it, but I think it will be somewhere around there. Malta as well. So maybe Serbia will not do as well. And maybe Lithuania. It is a very special song for a very specific audience, I feel like, and maybe in a field of that many songs, it might get a bit lost. So maybe it makes sense to predict Lithuania a bit lower. And now I have to put 2 into the bottom 6. I think Latvia probably, because it will struggle, I'm almost sure with the televote, probably. And then none of the others deserve it, really. Let's put Azerbaijan. Lots of people have told me that Azerbaijan won't even qualify, so maybe it's them. Yeah, so you see, a work in progress. I'm quite unsure about many of these things, which is a great sign for this year. It's a very open year, I think. We don't know all that many things yet. Maybe things will change once we have seen a few rehearsal clips and stuff like that. And I will definitely update this the day after the second semi-final. Thank you for watching. If you have stayed until now, kudos for that. And do subscribe to the channel if you don't want to miss any of my future videos. And if you do that, I might see you in my next one. See you then, and bye-bye.